From the moment the scream echoed through the foggy morning, Emily's world shifted. She hadn't meant to be in that alley, hadn't planned to be late, and certainly hadn't planned to fail the nursing exam that could shape her entire future. But as she ran toward the sound and saw an elderly woman slumped against a cold brick wall, blood sliding down her forehead, Emily didn't think twice. Her textbooks dropped, her knees scraped the pavement, and her trembling hands reached out to help. She didn't know that this single moment of compassion, this single choice, would change the course of her entire life. She didn't know that someone powerful was watching. If you believe kindness still matters in this world, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes. Your support helps us spread more inspiring stories. Emily had always been quiet, almost invisible. A shy nursing student with a gentle heart, she lived in a tiny rented room and worked nights to keep herself afloat. The exam she was rushing to that morning wasn't just any test, it was the one that determined whether she would move forward in her program or be forced to repeat the semester. She'd studied for months, slept in libraries, held on to hope even when life felt unbearably heavy. But as she sat with the injured woman, holding pressure to her wound, listening to the woman whisper fears through tears, Emily knew she couldn't leave. She stayed until the ambulance arrived. She offered her coat, her reassurance, and her time, everything she had to give. When the paramedics took over, Emily stood and felt the weight of reality crash onto her shoulders. She was already an hour late. Her exam room door would be closed. Her professor wouldn't make an exception. No one knew what she had done. No one would understand. On the long walk back to campus, her steps felt heavier than ever. The fog seemed to swallow the world, and with it, her dreams. By the time she reached school, the worst was confirmed. The exam was over. Her professor shook his head gently, apologetically, but rules were rules. Emily nodded, swallowing heartbreak like a stone. She didn't even explain. She didn't want pity, she didn't want attention. She just wanted to breathe. But that night, alone in her dorm room, she cried into her pillow, wondering if being a good person would always come at a cost she could never afford. Across the city, however, another story was beginning. The elderly woman she had helped was not an ordinary stranger. She was the mother of Alexander Grant, a young CEO known for his sharp mind, strict discipline, and guarded heart. He ran a large medical tech company, and though people often saw him as cold, it was only because he had lost too much too early. His mother was the only soft spot in his life. When a passerby called him from her phone as she was taken to the hospital, his world froze. He rushed to the emergency room, expecting chaos, pain, or the worst, but instead, his mother was stable, smiling, and endlessly praising the sweet young girl who saved my life. She described Emily in detail, her blue scrubs, her trembling hands that never hesitated, her soft voice telling her that everything would be okay. She explained how Emily stayed with her the whole time, refusing to leave even when she looked at her watch in panic. And something inside Alexander, something long dormant, shifted. The next morning, before the sun had fully risen, he was already standing on Emily's campus with a photograph of her from a security camera near the alley. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough for someone to recognize her. Students whispered as he walked past, tall, dressed in a dark coat, looking like he didn't belong in a place so simple and ordinary. Within minutes, he found the nursing department office and asked for Emily by name. Emily, sleepy-eyed and still heartbroken from the previous day, was shocked when her professor asked her to step outside. Standing beside him was a man she had never seen before, intimidating, calm, and yet strangely gentle in his expression. He introduced himself simply, grateful beyond words, explaining who the woman she saved truly was. Emily's eyes widened, panic flickering across her features. She hadn't expected thanks. She certainly wasn't prepared for what came next. Alexander requested a formal review of her missed exam. Not through force, not through authority, but through genuine compassion. He explained to the school board what she had done, how her actions directly protected a vulnerable life, and why such kindness should never be punished. His words carried weight, and for the first time in a long time, Emily felt like someone was standing up for her. By noon, the university granted her a special makeup exam. Emily could barely speak. Gratitude choked her. She didn't know how to thank him, but Alexander only shook his head. He insisted that his mother wanted to thank her personally. Days later, Emily visited the woman she had saved, and the warm embrace she received felt like something she had been missing for years. Over time, she became close to both mother and son. Alexander admired her quiet strength, her humility, her unshakable compassion. And Emily slowly realized that sometimes life takes everything away only to give something far greater in return. Months later, she passed her exams with top marks. She received a scholarship sponsored by Alexander's company. And as seasons changed, so did their bond, growing deeper, gentler, and unexpectedly beautiful. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes. Your support means the world. Comment below, kindness lives on, if you believe one good act can change a life forever.